There are artists who learn the rules and play along, and then there's a man who heard the rules and tuned his life to a higher key. His name is Courtney Jamal Pollard, born January 12th, 1988 in Phoenix, Arizona, and the world would come to know him as Mali Music. He grew up in a military family where the soundtrack was equal parts jet engines and Sunday hymns, moving from base to base until the one place that always felt like home found him in Savannah, Georgia. Savannah didn't just give him an address, it gave him an altar. He found the piano as a child and never let go, first out of curiosity, then out of calling. By the time most kids were learning scales, he was already serving the sanctuary, discovering that music could hold a room together when words fell apart. Church became the classroom where he learned the difference between noise and presence, performance and ministry. Every move etched another dialect of devotion into his ear. Midwestern youth choirs, Southern praise teams, even unexpected harmonies he picked up abroad. Instead of breaking him, the relocations built him, teaching empathy, phrasing, and the courage to translate truth for any room. When people later asked where he was from, the honest answer was simple: wherever the choir was singing. Out of that journey came a sound that didn't ask permission to exist. He called it truth music, not a genre to sell, but a posture to live by. It's where gospel conviction meets R&B restraint, where testimony is told plainly, and the arrangement bows to honesty. It's music that prays out loud without pretending, that lets doubt sit next to faith until both find language. This film is not a highlight reel, it's a pilgrimage. It's the boy who dragged a keyboard from posting to posting, the teen who turned a Savannah sanctuary into a laboratory, the man who walked a gospel song onto the Billboard R&B chart without losing the church that raised him. It's the story of how courage sounds when it refuses to choose between Sunday morning and Saturday night. If you've ever needed proof that calling can survive the industry, that holiness can live in a pocket, that a cracked note can carry more truth than a perfect run, welcome. This is Mali Music, between heaven and the hood, where presence leads, rhythm follows, and the room gets healed one honest chord at a time.
From base to base, a sacred space, and turn sanctuaries into labs for grace. A military brat from Phoenix to Germany, always new places. His one constant fire replete through all the new faces. Is there a church with a piano I can play for free? No formal lessons, just a hymnal and a driven soul use. He started keys at 5, a music director by 11, teaching drummers twice his age, a slice of heaven. He walked gospel to the R&B chart. 4 Grammy nods later, still speaking from the heart. A military brat who found his faith down south. So why did the industry try to shut his mouth? This story will rewire what you think about faith and the boxes we put it in. High school in Savannah gave him Southern ground, where he rewrote Kirk Franklin, pushing gospel sound. He fused 2 worlds, quoting 112 commission in one part. At 16 he cut the cum in the project straight from the heart, selling burned CDs from his mom's Camry, a one-man show. 800 so convinced him this was the only way to go, but his calling brought a unique tension and pain. The church feared the world, the clubs couldn't explain. More gospel to the he wore gospel on the earth. 4 Grammy nods later, still sticking from the heart. A military bride who industry try to shut his mouth. This story will rewire what you think about faith and the boxes we put in. In 2014, with Conlive and RCA, the album Molly is made room. Number 2 on gospel, 16 on R&B, dispelling all the gloom. Yeah. A triumph for his genre-bending vision with nowhere left to hide. But the industry told him, choose one lane, you have to pick a side. The pressure pushed him into silence, a total wreck. From that wrestle came contradicting Molly, a viral reality check. Fast forward to 2021, a Grammy for moving on, he'd won. Watched it happen on a cracked phone, his moment in the sun. No badge, no access, celebrating with the janitor who had no clue. That moment distilled the story, the bitter and the new. Celebrated everywhere but locked outside the tower. If labels wanted boxes, he built his own with power. He wore gospel to the R&B chart. 4 Grammy nods later, still speaking from the heart. A military brat who found his faith down south. So why did the industry try to shut his mouth? This story will rewire what you think about faith and the boxes we put it in. If you know your why, your purpose and your plea, you'll never need a category for your what to be. Legacy isn't platinum, sometimes it's the grace of giving someone else permission to find their place. The journey itself is the final prize, the destination is the road right before your eyes. When you stop trying to fit in, you become the perfect fit. The perfect fit.
Every journey begins with a sound. Before the lyrics and the lights, there was a little boy humming beneath the drone of Air Force planes. His name was Courtney Jamal Pollard. He was born January 12, 1988, in Phoenix, Arizona, and the world would come to call him Molly Music. He was the child who would one day drag a keyboard from posting to posting, the teen who would turn a Savannah sanctuary into a laboratory, the man who would walk a gospel song onto the Billboard R&B chart. He grew up in a military family, and the calendar moved him as surely as the spirit did, Phoenix to Omaha to Charleston to Stuttgart, then long stretches in Savannah, Georgia, where his grandmother kept a pew warm and a church door open. Home was wherever the choir was singing. Church wasn't just a place they went on Sundays. It was the center of family life, the room where love and discipline met in the same song. He found the piano at 5 and wrote his first song at 8. By 11, he wasn't just attending service. He was serving it, playing for the music ministry at Faith on the Move Ministries, and learning week by week the difference between noise and presence. His mother sang, his father played, and the sanctuary became a classroom where calling sounded like chords held a little longer than the hymn book required. Constant relocation could have fractured a child's identity, but it sharpened his ear. Each new city offered a different dialect of devotion. The bright blend of Midwestern youth choirs, the deep pocket of Southern praise teams, the unexpected harmonies of German congregations. He learned to hear what connected people long before he learned to name the genres that separated them. The travel taught him phrasing, the church taught him purpose. By the time the Pollards settled in Georgia, his hands carried a world's worth of worship. What looked like disruption had been training all along. The moves had built the meter of his life, and every goodbye had become another bar in the song he was born to play. Every kid thinks the world revolves around them, right? Well, Molly's actually did every 18 months like clockwork. His mama's Air Force orders meant constant relocation. Phoenix, Omaha, Charleston, Stuttgart, Savannah before he even hit middle school. Each goodbye meant a new zip code, a new accent, and the same burning question, who's got a church with a piano I can play? No formal lessons. No YouTube tutorials. He reminds me of myself as I play the keys with no formal training as well. Just a hymnal, a Walkman borrowed from his sister, and the conviction that if he played hard enough, the Holy Ghost would meet him halfway.
alright. Do 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 do. I'm on an airplane, and the destination of this flight is to the other side. Yeah, guess I had to go there. Guess I had to come here. I know where I'm from, but now I'm headed where I'm going right. But there are powers in the air, you can see them, and they have rockets and machine guns, and they're firing on my plane. But I say fire, fire, hey, ready, aim, fire, yeah. You can't shoot me down. Oh, fire, yeah. Fire, yeah. Ready, aim, fire, hey. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now, no. La 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 la. Oh. I'm on a rocket ship, and the destination of this rocket is to outer space. Alright. I don't know, but I guess I had to go. Guess I had to come here, yeah. I'm from the earth, but I've been taken to another place. I've been taken to another space, and there are powers even there, but you can't see them. And they have rockets and machine guns, hey, and they're firing on my brain. But I say fire.
Mali played his first piano at 5 years old and wrote his first song at 8. By 11, he wasn't just playing, he was directing choirs, teaching drummers twice his age to stay perfectly on the one. That constant uprooting could have fractured his identity. Instead, it sharpened his ear. He absorbed Minnesota choirs, Texas praise teams, even the harmonies of German gospel congregations. His sound became a moving target, impossible to pin down, yet instantly felt. He wasn't just learning notes, he was learning connection, the universal rhythm that transcends borders and denominations. Every bass left him a new instrument, a new dialect of praise. And by the time the Pollards finally settled in Georgia, that boy carried a world's worth of worship in his fingertips.
Just trying to make it straight cause it's sideways. Trying to take water to a dry place. Trying to take coke where it ain't none. Trying to bang low to a high place. I don't wanna make the shooter put the gun down. So mother gets a hold of us now. Wanna make the lame man run again. Make the blind man see the sun again. But all I hear is bang bang cat. I don't think the powers really want that. Breathing down my neck, always on my back, got the guns up, but I say, ooh, fire. You can't shoot me down, can't shoot me down. Fire. Hey, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Hey. You can't stop me now. Oh, fire. Fire. Hey. Ready, aim, fire. Yes. You can't shoot me down. Hey. now. Can't stop me now, no. Already gone, already here.
In Savannah, he attended Benedictine Military School, BC, to locals an all-male Catholic college prep military high school where formation, cadence, and JROTC culture are built into daily life. The school structure, founded in 1902 by Benedictine monks, gave him discipline and timing. The sanctuary gave him soul. Between drill and choir, bell schedules, and band rehearsals, he learned how order and spirit could live in the same groove skills he later translated into tightly arranged, deeply felt songs. Benedictine confirmed he's a BC graduate. The school describes itself as a private all-male Catholic college prep with a long military JROTC tradition. High school finally gave him roots. Savannah, Georgia, a city where Spanish moss drips like reverb from ancient oaks and every street corner hums a B-flat. At night, he camped in the church loft, rewriting Kirk Franklin chords until they felt like his own. By day, algebra homework got scribbled on lead sheets while English essays quoted 112 and commissioned in the same paragraph. Duality was already his dialect. At 16, he cut an indie CD called The Coming. It was 12 tracks, burned on Memorex discs, sold out of his mama's Camry. He sold 800 copies in 2 weekends. It was enough to convince him this wasn't a hobby. It was calling, pure brilliance and excellence.
Yeah. Oh, so many times in my life. Yeah. Have I tried to do it all by myself? But at the new moments failures, I realize that the glory is to the God and no one else. Yeah, I was running to and fro trying to make things happen. Slow down. That's what I hear him saying, but it ain't until something bad happens. Upside down. Or will I give up Jesus? It's all in your hands now, Father. Do what you will with me. Have your way, Lord. Please keep me in your will. Lord, help me to be still. I just wanna be available to you, yeah. I will do whatever you instruct me to do. I just wanna be available. Yeah. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. Have I dropped the ball when it all was on the line? Yeah. Please believe the last time was the last time. Yeah, because I'm gonna let your will be done and not mine. Yeah. Things have gotten better, the sun's a little brighter. And since I cast my cares on you, I feel a little lighter. Now I can hold my head up, stick my chest out. Yeah, because I will surely be carried out. No doubt about it, Lord. Please keep me in your will. Lord, help me to be still. I just wanna be available to you, yeah. We'll do whatever you instruct me to do. I just wanna. Let's go to the bridge. Said I'll move away. I'll sit here and wait. Show me the way. Lead me in the right direction. The safest place isn't the will of God. That should be our way. Jesus, ooh Lord, please keep me in your will. Lord, help me to be still. I just wanna be available to you, yeah. We'll do whatever you instruct me to do. Wanna be available. Come on, let's take this thing slow. Yeah, Lord, please keep me in your will. Lord, help me to be still. I just wanna be available to you, yeah. We'll do whatever you instruct me to. I just wanna
But
be
Savannah brought
available
contradictions.
to
The saints
you,
applauded his gift, then warned him not to go worldly. Then the world applauded his tone, then wondered why he still sang about Jesus. Molly's answer was genius. He let 808s talk to organ pedals until neither side could claim ownership. He wasn't choosing sides, he was building a new space where both could live. In that collision, a new genre was born, truth music. Truth music isn't a marketing label or a new subgenre, it's a posture. It means writing and performing from a place where faith and real life don't hide from each other. In truth music, the win isn't a perfect testimony, it's an honest one. Doubt, discipline, heartbreak, hope, nothing gets edited out to make the lyrics safer for Sunday or slicker for radio. The song's first job is to tell the truth in love, even if that truth is still in process. That's why the records feel like conversations with God you can play out loud, confessional verses, clear purpose, and a resolve that lands on grace instead of image. Sonically, truth music sits where gospel conviction meets R&B minimalism and ATL pocket. You'll hear Rhodes and organ for warmth, live bass for heartbeat, drums that leave space for breath, and harmonies stacked like inner dialogue instead of choir spectacle. The production resists over-polish so the testimony can breathe. The restraint is intentional, letting a cracked note or a quiet pause carry as much weight as a high run. It's not church songs in a club or secular songs with scripture. It's the same truth translated for every room. At its core, truth music treats truth as presence. If the lyric is sincere and the posture is surrendered, the room changes. Whether that room is a sanctuary, a stage, or a dorm with a cheap interface. It's ministry without a microphone check, integrity over industry, and craft in service of calling. In this documentary, when we say Molly helped birth truth music, we're naming that fusion. He modeled lyrics that refuse to lie, music that refuses to posture, and a faith that refuses to stay in a box. In later interviews, he'd say, when you move so much, God becomes your hometown. You see, every relocation taught him empathy, and every accent taught him phrasing. Now, by the time Savannah embraced him, his voice carried passports from everywhere he'd ever prayed. He was no longer just a musician, he was a translator for the broken. After his DIY debut, The Coming 2008, built a grassroots following online, Molly doubled down on the same bedroom studio hustle he'd been perfecting since getting Pro Tools at 15. The MySpace surge in 2008 turned into real booking demand, pre-orders out of his family's garage, and enough momentum to expand the catalog. Out of that season came the second coming of fully independent, self-driven statement released in 2009 under his Soundwalk imprint, running 17 tracks and roughly 74 minutes. It's the sound of a young producer-writer building a movement from a home setup and the church circuit into a national conversation. Thematically, he's called the second coming very, very heavy gospel, unapologetically spirit-filled lyrics over R&B, hip-hop textures, while early reviewers highlighted how the record avoided gospel cliches despite being self-produced at home. In other words, it wasn't a pivot toward the mainstream, it was a clarified mission, the blueprint of his truth music lane before the major label era. The industry vigorously attempts to harvest one's energy no matter the genre of music. In 2011, Akon's Con Live imprint partnered with RCA Inspiration and Bystorm Entertainment, offering Molly a major label bridge between gospel and R&B. He stepped into LA studios where the microphone cost more than his family's car. 2014's Molly is debuted number 2 on Billboard Gospel and number 16 on R&B hip-hop uncharted territory for a faith-based artist with no crossover cosigns. Beautiful, Fight for You, Ready Aim, songs that preached without pulpit. It was validation and controversy combined. Radio asked, which box do we check? While church elders asked, has he gone secular? The pressure mounted. Then came 9 months of silence with no posts and no music releases, just journal entries and whispered prayers that sounded like arguments with God. But out of that silence came the viral blog contradicting Molly. He wrote, if God is the author of creativity, why does trusting him feel like a genre? The post crashed his site within an hour and became the invisible liner notes for everything he'd create next, his declaration of artistic independence. Inside the label meetings, Molly learned the unspoken rules. Keep it inspirational but not preachy. Be soulful but not sanctified. Make it relatable, not religious. The labels forever strives to change and control their artist instead of backing and building them up. So Molly Music smiled politely, then went home and wrote the opposite. Akon told him, your gift is translation, please don't ever lose that. Those words anchored him when executives wanted radio formulas. Molly understood the business, he just refused to let it own his belief. His experiment worked. Beautiful landed sync placements in commercials and Sunday playlists alike. But fame came with fatigue. The very lane he built was already being narrowed behind him. They call it a career pause. I call it being silenced by the labels, as we have seen so many others experience this. But for Molly, it was a spiritual fast. However, I call it the God interference. This is when God begins to speak to you and redirect your life, and the flesh has a full-on battle with your inner spirit. After the whirlwind of Molly is, after interviews, touring, and whispers about crossing over, the noise became unbearable. Molly Music disappeared. He wrote no posts, he made no appearances and no studio check-ins. He left just notebooks filled with scratched out lyrics and prayers that sounded like confessions. He later said, I wasn't running from music. I was running back to peace. That makes me question what disrupted his peace in the industry. We have heard numerous complaints and testimonies of evil mixed with witchcraft and demonic forces in the industry. We may already have the answer to my question. Demonic sometimes is literal belief, sometimes is branding. The first big American wave most people point to is the 1980s satanic panic. Heavy metal and pop acts were accused of hiding satanic messages, especially through so-called backmasking secret phrases supposedly embedded when a record is played backwards. The controversy fed into the 1985 Senate hearings, pushed by the Parents Music Resource Center, PMRC, and led to the Parental Advisory label. It also intersected with the Judas Priest subliminal message trial, which the band ultimately won. In hindsight, historians describe much of this as a moral panic, not proven conspiracy. A second thread is the language of selling your soul. Some artists have used it metaphorically to describe the cost of fame or bad industry deals. Critics have taken the phrase literally. Kanye West, for instance, rapped the line, I sold my soul to the devil, I know it's a crappy deal, which has been repeatedly circulated as evidence by commentators, even though in hip-hop, lines like this often function as metaphor for artistic compromise. Rap Radar, a third thread, is occult imagery as pop spectacle. Artists have been accused of promoting Satanism when using fire, horns, red lighting, or ritual aesthetics on stage. Recent flashpoints include Sam Smith and Kim Petras' unholy awards performances, denounced as satanic by some politicians, even as others defended them as theater, and Lil Nas X's Satan Shoes art stunt with MSCHF, which triggered a Nike lawsuit and recall. These episodes fueled claims of industry evil, but they're also clear examples of provocation and marketing that courts and mainstream outlets treated as speech and trademark issues, not evidence of literal ritual practice. There's also a long-running symbolism debate. For example, Jay-Z once wore a "do what thou wilt" shirt, a phrase linked to occultist Aleister Crowley, which critics cited as proof of sinister allegiance and supporters dismissed as trolling or fashion. Regardless of intent, moments like this feed the narrative that secret societies and dark arts sit just off stage in mainstream music. Stepping back, scholars note that many of these accusations ride the same cultural currents: fear for youth, sensational media, and the power of symbolism. The broader historical record around the Satanic Panic, from Michelle Remembers to high-profile trials, shows sweeping claims of organized ritual abuse that were later widely discredited, even as they left a deep mark on public imagination. In other words, the claims are real and recurring. The evidence for literal industry-wide witchcraft is thin. Like I said, these folk love to pay off the media. Much of what people call demonic in music is real, and the fight over it is really a fight about meaning, what symbols say, what art is for, and where faith belongs in popular culture. Jaguar Wright insisted is more than that, and I agree with her, allegedly. Molly, in those quiet months, he mentored neighborhood kids, produced indie gospel singers, and visited shelters with no cameras and no credit. He was rediscovering what music meant when there wasn't a marketing team involved. The stillness became sacred, and from that silence rose the next chapter, The Transition of Molly, 2017. The project was a statement disguised as soul. You could hear the war in every chord, the tension between flesh and faith, fame and foundation. Songs like Gonna Be Alright and My Life turned pain into praise, showing that sometimes ministry isn't a sermon, it's survival. Now, fast forward to 2021 when Jonathan McReynolds called him with a song idea. It was simple, hopeful, and raw. The two recorded together. The sound was called Movin' On. The track becomes a balm for anyone carrying heartbreak and healing at the same time. It was nominated for a Grammy. When Grammy night arrived, both names were etched on the trophy for Best Gospel Song and Performance. A monumental moment, except Molly wasn't inside. Security didn't recognize him as he had no badge and no wristband. He watched his own victory on a cracked phone screen, standing in a loading dock next to a janitor who had no idea who he was. Why didn't he have a badge or wristband? Why didn't Jonathan personally come and get him, as you will clearly see that they were communicating by text? This doesn't make sense to me, but when Jonathan texted, "We won," Molly just laughed through tears. That absurd poetic scene captured his whole life. Celebrated everywhere, admitted nowhere. But it didn't break him, it baptized him again. Because sometimes exclusion becomes elevation. That night wasn't humiliation, it was confirmation, as he realized he didn't need a red carpet to validate his calling. When asked how he defines success, Molly smiles and flips the question, "How do you define sacred?" He believes every chord has holiness in it, and the artist's job is to tune hearts until they recognize it. That belief led him to projects across genres while producing his love for Jennifer Hudson's 2019 Gospel Showcase, then turning around and playing keys for Jenny Aiko's Trip Tour. Critics called it contradiction, but Molly called it communion. "If love is the fruit, the root can't be rotten," he said. His live shows feel like fellowship with an incredible light show. His hands raised whether the lyric says Jesus or justice. The goal isn't to sneak sermons into clubs, it's to remind the world that God's presence isn't confined to pews. Faith to Molly isn't a fence, it's a frequency. These days you'll find him at universities more often than mega churches, teaching a masterclass called Frequency and Faith. Students expect chord charts and scale modes. Molly calls it the work behind the worship, tuning the heart before tuning the instrument. When he talks about frequency and faith, he's not giving a theory class, he's giving people a way to listen. Frequency to him is the emotional charge inside sound, the feeling a chord, a drum pocket, or a single sustained note can deliver before a lyric lands. Faith is the posture that decides what you do with that charge. Put together, the message is simple. Music should tell the truth and heal the room. He teaches a 3-step discipline: question first, melody second, genre last. Start by naming the real question you're carrying, the ache or the gratitude you can't shake. Find a melody that sits on it without pretending it's smaller than it is. Only then decide the clothes the song should wear: gospel, R&B, trap, acoustic, or nothing but a voice and a Rhodes. The order matters because honesty comes before arrangement. If the why is true, the what and how will find you. He also maps feelings to musical choices. Major keys feel like revelation and resolve. Minor keys feel like repentance and longing. A tight 4/4 pocket declares, a gentle 6/8 rocks people into reflection. Silence is not dead air, it's breath, space for God and for the listener. The rhythm section is the heartbeat. The bass is the spine. The Rhodes is warmth. The organ is presence. And stacked harmonies are the inner dialogue of a soul answering itself. Even in an ATL bounce track, he'll leave space between the hats and the vocals so testimony can be heard, not just felt. In workshops, he gives a simple assignment: write on an index card the problem you were born to solve, then set that sentence to a 4-chord loop. Keep the lyric plain. Let the chords carry the weight. Don't hide the doubt. Don't hurry the hope. Play it once with full band, then again almost naked voice, bass, and keys to make sure the message still stands when the polish is gone. If the song only works loud, it isn't finished. There are ethical guardrails too. Don't manipulate a crowd with tricks that outrun the truth. Don't call pain praise before it has been carried. Credit the players and the people whose stories gave the song its bones. If you can sing it in a sanctuary and on a street corner without changing the words, you've likely found the frequency he means, something sturdy enough to travel. Live, he builds sets like a liturgy. Begin with invocation, one note held long, a low hum to gather the room. Move into testimony, plain speech over a simple groove. Let confession sit in a minor key without rushing to fix it. When the room is ready, lift into declaration major chords, open vowels, hands free. End with ascending, no fireworks, just blessing. The goal is not hype, it's alignment. People should leave steadier than they came. That is the depth of frequency and faith. Sound as a carrier for truth, arrangements that serve honesty, and performance as a form of care. It's why his records can live in both heaven and the hood. The frequency names how it feels, faith names what it's for, and when both are tuned, the music does what it was made to do: tell the truth and heal the room. Molly then asks his students a question: what problem were you born to solve? He makes them write the answer on an index card, set it to a 4-chord loop, and perform it before class ends. Some students cry and some laugh, but all leave transformed. He tells them, if you know your why, you'll never need a category to validate your what. That's not just theology, it's testimony. Because that's exactly how he built his own career. Question first, melody second, and genre last. If this story is hitting different than the bio you thought you knew, please tap that subscribe button. Because the algorithm won't show you artists who refuse to fit inside its boxes unless you tell it to. Here on Kicking It with Auntie Leah, we celebrate the misfits, the miracle makers, and the truth tellers. And Molly Music, he's all three. Now let's keep going. In a small rehearsal room in DC, Molly walks in with charts, ready for a tiny desk-style session with Jasmine Sullivan. The first day, she listens quietly, then tears up every background vocal he's written. Most artists would bristle, but not Molly Music. He leans forward with curiosity. Then by day 3, he's off mic, mimicking her phrasing, however, not for the camera, but to feel it in his bones. That unscripted wow became an instant meme, a snapshot of humility and awe. The show had 2 million views in 48 hours. For him, that wasn't embarrassment, it was enlightenment. He learned that true greatness isn't a crown to protect, it's a horizon to chase. That moment became his spiritual checkpoint. Stop protecting reputation and start pursuing refinement. This is where every tear, triumph, and testimony converges. Every artist chases stadium lights, but Molly's favorite spotlight still flickers in the Fellowship Hall of Faith on the Move Ministries, the same church that raised him. Last Christmas, he came home unannounced with no tour bus and no publicist. Just Molly, a Nord keyboard, and a smile that made the ushers forget the service schedule. He plugged into the same outlet that once powered his childhood Yamaha, and the congregation didn't scream, they wept. Because when the prodigal returns to praise, you don't need an introduction, just a chord. He played for hours with no cameras and no phones, just community and communion. He slipped from beautiful into Yahweh and finally, I will praise you, fam. I miss my first Yamaha keyboard. I loved that thing. Anyway, allow me to gather my composure and let's keep moving. When he stopped, silence hung heavy, that holy kind of silence that's louder than applause. Then he did something that felt like prophecy. He walked over to a 13-year-old drummer, placed his custom in-ear monitors in the kid's hand, and whispered, "Next year, you'll mix the broadcast." That boy's eyes filled with tears because for him that wasn't a gift, it was permission. And that night, 3 teens left the church and recorded their own EPs. That's legacy, not plaques or streams, but passing the mic to the next miracle. Today, Molly's crafting a new project tentatively titled Blood and Broadband. He says it's an experiment on how faith sounds in a Wi-Fi world. He laughs when describing it. Dial-up nostalgia meets fiber optic anxiety. It includes 56K modem tones layered over 808 heartbreak and sermons sampled from TikTok lives. He jokes, if the label hates it, I'll drop it as a podcast and call it Communion. That's the thing about him. He doesn't chase relevance, he chases resonance. While the world races for streams, Molly's tuning frequencies that heal. His calendar these days has more white space than ink, deliberate gaps where he listens, prays, and waits. Because he's learned that silence isn't emptiness, it's expectation. He walks slower now, on purpose. And when people ask what's next, he smiles. Maps only matter to people afraid of getting lost. He's not lost, he's exploring, led by the same rhythm that's guided him since that first piano note in a military chapel decades ago. Picture this, a quiet morning on Tybee Island just outside Savannah. The ocean hums in D major. The wind sounds like a choir warming up. Molly stands barefoot in the sand, eyes closed, hands raised. He whispers, Lord, if my music ever stops pointing to you, cut the sound. The waves respond with a crash like applause from heaven itself. He's not chasing perfection anymore. He's chasing presence. So the military kid who once paid for studio time with lunch money is now the mentor paying it forward with master classes, memes, and melodies that refuse to choose between Saturday jam sessions and Sunday repentance. His story isn't a straight line, it's a sacred loop, always circling back to faith, family, and freedom. When you stop trying to fit in, that's when you finally become the fit. And if that revelation hits you the way it hit me, then smash that subscribe button, leave a comment, and tell us which Molly music track rewired your idea of gospel. Because the algorithm might be listening, but more importantly, so are we. Because after everything, the moves, the mistakes, the Grammys, the genres, he's learned the most profound truth of all. You don't need a stage to worship. You just need a pulse and breath in your lungs. Molly Music is in my top 10 favorite gospel artist list. You have met Travis Green and Jonathan McReynolds. There is more to come. Stay tuned. And now, as we close this journey, let's move from story to sound. Because Molly didn't just sing songs, he set spirits free. This next piece is our Songography tribute, The Sound of a Soul Unchained. A live band gospel fusion performance celebrating every note of his evolution. Turn your volume up, open your heart wide, and let this song remind you that heaven still speaks through every frequency.
Oh, oh yeah. Born on base with a borrowed piano.
Mama pray, Lord, guide his hand from Phoenix dust to Savannah soil. Faith kept following this man. He learned that every goodbye rhythm, every move was a brand new chord, till every home he left behind became another praise to the Lord. He said, I'm just a soldier, oh, for the kingdom sound. Oh yeah, I play what heaven whispers down. Yeah. This is the sound of a soul unchained, breaking his bars with a holy refrain. Don't box my worship, don't name my pain. I'm free, yeah, I'm free in Jesus. Labels try to lock the light, but grace will lead through every might. They said choose, gotta choose the fame, but I found both inside his name. From the choir stand to late night shows, the truth still proves where the spirit flows. This is the sound of a soul unchained. Through the struggle, the scar, and the rain, I'm singing love that the way I pray. I'm free, yeah. I'm free in Jesus. In Jesus. In Jesus. But mercy tracked me down, you know. I found my peace when I let go. And now I'm moving on, moving on slow. Yeah. See, purpose don't panic when it's pressure. It just polishes the sound. Every key became a prayer. Every chord said, Lord, you're there. Lord, you're there. This is the sound of a soul unchained. Chains fall off when the name's proclaimed. From the bass to the stage to the altar flame. I'm free, yeah. I'm free in Jesus. Hey. In Jesus. Hey. In Jesus. Hey. In Jesus. I'm free, yeah. So if you hear this groove tonight and your heart feels like taking flight, don't wait on perfect, just call his name and find your own soul unchained. Oh.